Hey guys, what's up? It is much later in the day than I would normally film a garden tour, but I kept waiting for it to get warmer today, and it didn't. It's actually colder now than it was when I first got up. And what is that? It's like, oh, there's Kata. It's like 64 Fahrenheit, which if I check my watch is about 18 Celsius. And it has been looking like rain all day and then deciding not to rain. I know a lot of people south of me got rain, like all of Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, all of that. And it looks like it'll be rainy for kind of the next few days over the week. So ideally, this is a great time to be planting stuff. And we'll see if I end up having the time, because I still have not planted corn. But I'm just rambling at you guys now. Let's look at the garden. It's not exactly a surprise when I say I've been too busy to do stuff in the garden. Not like I haven't done anything, but we're going to encounter quite a few things where I say I meant to do that and I have not done it yet. One of them is planting more of these scarlet runner beans. This is a perennial type of vining bean, or so I hope. And you can see this one is finally starting to vine up, which means that its growth will start going so fast. Hello, sweet Kata. And let's see, over here we've got this one, which has not yet started putting out its vine, but it should very soon. And the rest of the ones that I had tried planting here are just dead. So that is why I need to be replanting. But if we come around to this section right here, these are my newer strawberries. These are all cuttings from my original strawberry patch, which again all started from one singular strawberry plant. It is a sparkle strawberry from Stark Brothers. And you can see these are already starting to put out runners, which is exactly what I want from them. I want them to take over this area and edge out the Bermuda grass the same as they did in the berry patch. And I do have a new strawberry here. This one, it's got much lighter colored leaves. This is a recent transplant. It is a wild yellow strawberry. I actually got this plant from a viewer named Srini, and they sent me a ton of plants that we will see throughout the tour, but one of them is this lovely strawberry. I'm looking at the tomato row. One of the things that I meant to do but have not done is prune and start trellising some of these. They are definitely long enough to start barely being trellised, and definitely need to have some suckers pruned off. Something like this definitely needs to go. But we do have some flowers, which is very exciting. Tomatoes are not that far off, although just seeing flowers now, it's likely going to be like 6 to 8 weeks before that is an edible tomato, which is a lot longer than I would have thought when I first started gardening. We're also about the same amount of time away from garlic being ready to harvest. We are watching for the lower leaves to start dying back here, and we want most of the plant to be brown before we start pulling it up. Over here in the second row, we've still got all these lettuces that haven't quite gone to seed yet, and I think this is new since last week that I planted my eggplants. I was getting pretty nervous about them because you can see the curling starting to happen on these leaves. This is indicative again of that herbicide damage that I was talking about, and it makes me think that whatever is affecting my plants was actually in the soil that I used to transplant them, which is not ideal, but it seems to be very mild, and so I'm hoping that with these in the ground they will be able to recover. Also recently I had planted these sweet peppers in the ground. These are some of the ones that were looking really sad, and while they are looking a little better, they still, like, once you see the ones that look really healthy, you'll see there's really no comparison. These are looking really meh. They are alive, but still struggling a lot, and they might be permanently stunted from their experience with the transplant soil, which is unfortunate, but I do have a backup plan. A few weeks ago, I started some new baby seedlings, and I actually have about 4 or 5 that I could probably put out within the next week that, based on how little these are growing and how awful they look, I think would surpass them within like 2 or 3 weeks easy out here. So I'm probably not going to end up being that far behind, all things considered, which is kind of a perk of having a really long growing season. As we continue going down the row, I've got more eggplant in here, and I planted all of these extremely close together because I thought perhaps many or all of them will die or just not grow. But I also am thinking, okay, this lettuce isn't going to be here, this lettuce isn't going to be here, this isn't going to be here. And so I'm kind of taking into account what will be actually filling up the space here. Here's another eggplant. Curled leaves, even more obvious on that one. And then we come to this section. These are hot pepper transplants, which I think are definitely new. And you can see just the color on these leaves. They look so different. I topped almost all of them during the transplant because with hot peppers, I find that you just get kind of a better harvest that way because the plant will branch out more. And also they were all very tall and leggy because I had not transplanted them at all. And thank goodness I didn't into that awful soil. So like half of this plant is probably missing, and you can see new little leaves coming in, and it will be a much bushier plant in the end. Some of my first onions have started falling over as well. This is the sign that your onions are pretty much ready to be harvested. The fact that the neck goes soft here and the leaves flop over. This is kind of small for an onion compared to what I would like, but these are all the ones that I had planted from my own seeds, and to be getting pretty onions at all, I think, is kind of a win for me. So I'll probably be pulling these over the next little bit, the ones that have flopped over, and I will start curing them. At the back of this row, I did take out a couple of Brussels sprouts to make room for the rest of my hot pepper seedlings here. You can see they come all the way up to here. And the rest of these will come out soonish. This is where I'm planning to plant my corn. I will start it from seed, and I should have done this already, but you know, here we are. Benefits of a long growing season. You don't necessarily have to be perfectly on time with everything. And even though these are flowering, I just don't know if I will be able to get good viable seeds from them, seeing as there's only really a couple of good flowering plants here. Starting in on the third row, right here at the front, is my volunteer cilantro, which is going to start making me seeds very soon, and I'll have plenty of coriander over the next year. And then coming over to this first trellis, before we get to the trellis, this is a new plant that I have put in. This is hibiscus, or whatever that second word is. I got this at a native plant sale this weekend, and just got it in the ground yesterday. So excited to see how that does. And then here on the trellis we've got the noodle beans, which are just now starting to make their second set of leaves. And I'm excited to see that these are not being munched as bad as they were last year. I might have overplanted a little bit. Oh, hi. I might have overplanted a little bit, given that I was kind of expecting a lot of them to get munched the same way. But I think it'll still be fine. Also, Kata gets this fancy little ruffle because she's been getting too good at catching birds. And so I made her something that is supposed to make it easier for the birds to see her. so that she is not as successful at hunting them. Here on the second trellis, we're still not really seeing sprouts, so I think I should probably replant as far as cucumber goes. Hey! That little menace. I should probably replant as far as cucumbers go. I actually had a dream that my cucumbers sprouted. I just remembered. Unfortunately, it was only a dream. There is nothing here. Or if there was, it got eaten before I ever saw it. But this right here is part of my backup plan. All of these peppers are store-bought sweet peppers. And you can see that deep green in their leaves, how healthy they are. I knew that my peppers were not doing well, and so I broke down and bought a few different varieties from the store. And I got lucky enough to find some cups that had 2 plants in them, so I got like twice as many for my money. One of these is just resting, being cute, and the other one is plotting mischief. There's nothing else really notable back here except 1, 2, 3 brassica plants that I somehow hadn't really noticed until now. I think there had been a lot more weeds in this area and they recently kind of died back, and I definitely pulled a couple of the bigger ones out. But I think these are Brussels sprouts or something that I had tried to have as part of my spring garden and was incredibly late on. Maybe I'll leave them. Maybe they will get big enough in time for fall. Who knows? This right here is a spinach that has gone completely to seed. This is still edible, but it will not be very tasty anymore, so I'll probably take that out. And we've just got some flowers back here, zinnia, onion flowers. In the back corner of the 4th row here, I am so close to having flowering poppies. None of them have opened up yet, but it will be soon. It will be very soon. And these are such gorgeous flowers. You can see there's also a couple more onions back here that have flopped over. I think these are ones that I got as starts. They're also not huge, but you know, I have plenty of onions. If they were all huge, that would just be so much onion. And then the fava bean section over here, I'm still kind of waiting on these to fully mature inside their pods. We are getting darn close. Some of these are starting to look like they're going to start drying out soon. And then not a whole lot in here. All of this is weeds except for the garlic until we get to our path cosmos. And some of them are looking very pretty. These all self-seeded. I did not decide to plant them here, but I saw them coming up and decided I should let them live because they are beautiful. I did plant this zinnia, which is again absolutely gorgeous. And we do have a new plant back here. This I also got from the native plant sale. This is black cohosh. It's gonna be a medicinal perennial in my garden. All throughout this garden, also in places that you can't really see because of all the weeds and because some of them haven't come up yet. The same viewer who sent me the wild strawberry sent me a bunch of turmeric, sprouted turmeric, because mine was struggling so much. And I think they actually sent that package right as I was discovering that my own turmeric did indeed sprout. So I have so much turmeric. I actually have some black turmeric as well as regular turmeric. And if you want to see actually that whole box of stuff that I got from them, I did a vlog on my Patreon that you can go watch, where I'm opening everything up and talking about what it is. There's a lot of things that I'm not even going to get to today because I haven't planted them yet. So you can go check that out on Patreon, or keep following over the next few weeks and you'll see what they are. But I am very excited about the black turmeric because I didn't even know it was a thing until it got proposed to me to be sent, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's plant some of that. Out here in the raised bed garden, we've got quite a bit going on. Everything is flowering, and I do want to show you guys over here. This is one of my own turmerics that is coming up. I also have 2 marshmallow here, calendula, and another new little plant over here. This is an eastern yarrow. I got this from the native plant sale as well, and it should be also another medicinal herbaceous perennial for me. I had a bunch of bush beans planted in this area, and for some reason they didn't come up, and the ones that did come up look sad. Like, this is the only one that even has a semblance of a leaf on it still. I think they just got all kind of munched right as they were little baby seedlings trying to sprout, which is unfortunate, but I mean, oh well. I probably didn't need more beans anyway, given how many I'm gonna get from the noodle beans. And I also noticed a new asparagus sprout coming up. I've got 3 crowns in here, and I will not be harvesting anything from these until at least next year, potentially even the year after that, depending on how they look. Continuing on through here, we can check in on the ube and the sweet potatoes. I think I put some of my turmeric, sprouted turmeric in here, and we will potentially see that in a week or so. And in here we've got purple potatoes and also a new plant. This is a Jerusalem artichoke. They have edible tubers, and I've heard that they take over, so that's why I've put it in the raised bed here. And it's supposed to be kind of a potato-y replacement, so potatoes growing here now, and then the plan is to have this eventually be perennial Jerusalem artichoke. And it's nice that this is perennial and also native, so less work for me, and also should do really well here considering that it was evolved to live here. And coming around the berry patch, blueberries, still not quite ready to pick, but I feel like they got to be getting close now, right? Like, they're not getting any bigger these days, so they're probably just ripening. And strawberries have been coming in big waves. I've already made like 14 jars of jam, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit, because this week I am talking to you guys about how I'm using produce coming out of the garden. But I mean, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous strawberries. I will say not all of them are that big. Most of them are generally, yeah, like this size. But I cannot come out here and not find ripe strawberries. There's just so many. And fortunately for me, the blackberries are not ready to harvest yet, because I mean, look at how many there are. I'm already exhausted from the hour it takes me to comb through here every couple of days and get all the strawberries. And now I'm adding on raspberries because these guys are starting to ripen as well. All of these, you can see that darker one. This one is ripe. These 2 are almost there. And yeah, even though I absolutely love growing food, this is a point in the season where you start to realize what you've done. Like, oh my gosh, I have committed to basically a full-time job of picking and preserving food. Otherwise all this work that I've done is going to go to waste. So I have to be here. I have to do it, and it is a joy, but it does weigh heavy as a responsibility. You know, you cannot not do it, and if you don't, then you are wasting food, and it's not just like losing that harvest, but also the really negative feelings that come with that. So this dichotomy of joy and heavy responsibility is starting to hit me this time of year. On a lighter note though, all of the trees that I have planted here have survived. We've got kumquat. This is a brown turkey fig, limequat right here, and new baby Chicago hardy fig. This is another one from Srini. I have 2 of these because they weren't sure if one of them might die in the mail, and luckily both of them survived. So I've got one here, and then I'll show you where the other one is. Up here by the road, we've got the elderberry that I had planted a few weeks ago, and my second fig. This is kind of a shadier spot than I would normally put it, but I feel like I'm running out of places to put it. And this is already an area with some trees that I feel like I can safely say the lawn under here will not get out of control if I can't mow over it all the time. So that's kind of the logic behind placing these here. My elderberry is trying to flower, actually. I don't know how good of a job it'll do given that it was just transplanted. But this time next year, I'm sure I will be overwhelmed with elderberry. These are the 2 other plants that I got from the plant sale that I have not planted yet. This one is an evening primrose, and this one is fragrant sumac. This one I'm planning to put on the hill between my sidewalk and the road because it should be a really good ground cover bush type thing, as well as being a really tasty spice when the berries are dried. I did just want to take a second before we go and show you guys what I harvested this morning and still haven't dealt with. This is about half of the sort of harvest that I can get in a day. I started harvesting last night, and the light left me and I couldn't see well anymore, so this is the rest of everything that I got this morning. And I will need to process it pretty soon. I could just stick it in the fridge, but I would really like to pull the tops off of everything and then either freeze it or designate it to be eaten fresh because it is beautiful and perfect, and only the beautiful and perfect ones I will eat fresh. Not because I'm picky, but just because there are so many of these and a lot of them need to go to jam. There's only so many I can eat fresh, and might as well eat the prettiest ones fresh. I have already made 14 jars of jam from strawberries this year, which I think is already more than I made last year, like total. I can't say that for sure, but I think it's really close. It's a lot of jam. I don't need that much jam, although my partner definitely goes through a lot of jam. So a lot of that will be for him and also to give away to family and friends. But I also, as far as using strawberries go, I also do put them in salads. My favorite thing to do is grab a bunch of lettuce and put a strawberry or raspberry dressing on it with fresh strawberries and pecans and feta cheese. That is like the only salad that I want to eat. It's so good. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. But until then, happy gardening.